I gripped the document inside my purse, my fingers tracing its edges as I watched my husband of 8 years kiss my younger sister in front of our entire family. The worst birthday gift I could have imagined, delivered with the precision of a surgeon's knife. My name is Bella, and this is how my life imploded on my 32nd birthday. I'm sorry it had to happen this way, Justin announced, his arm wrapped around Eloise's waist. But Eloise belongs here more than you ever did. The champagne glasses clinked awkwardly as our guests shifted in discomfort. My mother Anne's face had turned ghost white, her hand covering her mouth in shock. The birthday cake I'd spent hours decorating sat forgotten on the dining room table. 32 unlit candles standing like silent witnesses. How long? I asked, my voice steady despite the earthquake in my chest. Eloise, my baby sister by 4 years, had the audacity to smile. Does it matter? 6 months, Justin answered, at least having the decency to look somewhat ashamed. We didn't plan this, Bella. It just happened. I caught my friend Kinley's eye across the room. She was already reaching for her phone, probably ready to call the police or a hitman. Knowing her, possibly both. I gave her a subtle shake of my head. Well, I said, smoothing down my black cocktail dress. I suppose I should thank you both for making this so public. Saves me the trouble of having to explain it to everyone later. Bella, honey. My mother finally found her voice. Maybe we should take this somewhere private. No need, Mom. I managed a smile that felt foreign on my face. I think Justin and Eloise have made everything perfectly clear. The document in my purse seemed to pulse like a living thing. 6 months of affair? Try 2 years of me documenting every illegal transaction, every cooked book, every penny Justin had embezzled from his company. I'd suspected something was wrong long before I caught the first whiff of his affair with my sister. You're taking this surprisingly well, Justin said, his confidence wavering slightly. What did you expect? I asked, picking up my champagne glass. For me to throw things? Make a scene? Beg you to stay? I took a deliberate sip. I'm not that kind of woman, Justin. You should know that by now. Oliver, my oldest friend and coincidentally a corporate lawyer, stepped forward. I think it's time for everyone to leave. No, I said firmly. This is still my birthday party, and I'd like to make a toast. The room fell silent. Even the soft jazz music playing in the background seemed to hold its breath. To new beginnings, I raised my glass, looking directly at Justin and Eloise. And to Karma. She's always watching, isn't she? Something in my tone must have registered with Justin because his face paled slightly. Good, he should be worried. Bella! Eloise stepped forward, her perfectly manicured hand reaching out. We never meant to hurt you. I stepped back, avoiding her touch like it was poison. Save it, Eloise. You can keep him. Consider him my birthday gift to you. The guests began filtering out, murmuring awkward goodbyes and avoiding eye contact. My mother tried to stay, but I insisted she go home. I needed this time alone. Are you sure you're okay? Kinley whispered as she hugged me goodbye. You can stay with me tonight. I'm fine, I assured her, my hand still resting on my purse. Better than fine, actually. Sometimes things need to fall apart so better things can fall together. After everyone left, I stood in my empty living room, surrounded by half-empty glasses and birthday decorations that now seemed like props in a tragic play. My phone buzzed. A text from Oliver. Everything's ready whenever you are. Just say the word. I typed back a quick response. Tomorrow. Time to show them what karma really looks like. Walking upstairs to pack my essentials, I passed the wedding photos still hanging on the wall. Justin and I, looking young and in love. Eloise is my maid of honor, her smile now seeming more predatory than joyful in hindsight. I took down each photo, placing them carefully in a box. Not because I wanted to keep them, but because I needed to remember. Remember how they looked before they knew I had the power to destroy them. Remember their faces when they thought they had won. The document in my purse wasn't just paper, it was ammunition. And tomorrow I would start a war they never saw coming. I slept in our bed one last time, alone but not lonely. For the first time in months, I felt truly awake. Tomorrow would be day one of my new life, and karma was about to become my best friend. The morning after my disaster of a birthday party, I sat in Oliver's office, spreading documents across his mahogany desk like dealing cards in a high-stakes poker game. 2 years, I said, pointing to the earliest dated document. I first noticed something was off when Justin started bringing work laptops home and hiding them in his golf bag. Oliver picked up one of the papers, his eyes widening. Bella, this is serious money we're talking about. Millions. How did you get all this? Remember when Justin taught me to use his accounting software so I could help with the books? I let out a bitter laugh. He didn't realize I actually understood what I was looking at. The phone on Oliver's desk buzzed. Your investigator is here, his secretary announced. Bruno Dixon walked in, looking exactly like what you'd expect from a private investigator. Weathered face, sharp eyes, and a leather briefcase that had seen better days. Mrs. Ross. He nodded, then caught himself. Sorry, Bella. What did you find? I asked, straight to the point. Bruno pulled out his own set of documents. Your husband's been busy. That shell company you flagged? It's just the tip of the iceberg. There are 3 more, all funneling money through offshore accounts. Oliver whistled low. And your sister? Eloise has been helping him, Bruno confirmed. She's been listed as a consultant on 2 of these companies for the past 8 months, drawing a hefty salary too. The betrayal I thought couldn't cut any deeper somehow found new flesh. So when Justin said 6 months, he was lying, Bruno finished. They've been working together for at least 8 months, probably longer. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Please call me. We need to talk about what happened. I ignored it. There would be time for family drama later. There's more, Bruno said, pulling out his tablet. Your sister's been making some interesting purchases lately. Designer clothes, a new car, and... He paused, sliding the tablet toward me. A down payment on a house. Your house, to be specific. My hands shook as I looked at the document. They're trying to buy me out of my own home? They already started the paperwork, Bruno confirmed. Using money that technically doesn't exist. Oliver leaned forward. This is perfect, Bella. We've got them on tax fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. One phone call to the SEC and... Not yet. I cut him off. I want them to feel secure first. Let them think they've won. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Eloise. We need to talk about the house. Justin says you need to sign some papers. The audacity, I muttered, showing the message to Oliver. Play along, he advised. The more evidence we gather, the stronger our case. I typed back. Fine. Set it up. You're sure about this? Bruno asked. Once we start down this road. They destroyed my marriage, tried to steal my home, and humiliated me in front of everyone I know. I said, my voice steel. I'm not just sure. I'm certain. Oliver started organizing the documents into files. I'll contact my friend at the SEC. Get everything ready. But Bella, there's something else you should know. He pulled up a document on his computer, turning the screen toward me. I did some digging into your joint accounts. Justin's been systematically moving money around for months. If we don't act soon, you could lose everything. I already lost everything, I said, standing up. Now it's their turn. Bruno cleared his throat. There's one more thing. Your sister's been meeting with someone else too. Another executive from Justin's company. Who? Thomas Reed, the CFO. I remembered Thomas. Quiet, always watching from the sidelines at company parties. Why would she be meeting him? Insurance, maybe, Oliver suggested. Or she's playing both sides. My phone buzzed a 3rd time. Justin. We need to handle this like adults. Come home, we'll talk it through. I showed the message to Oliver, who shook his head. Don't go alone. I won't, I assured him. But I will go. It's time to start the show. As I gathered my things to leave, Bruno handed me a small device. Voice recorder, just in case. I slipped it into my purse next to the original documents, my insurance policy against whatever game they were playing. 1 week, I told Oliver. Give me 1 week to get everything in place. Then we'll show them what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. Walking out of Oliver's office, I felt lighter somehow. The pain was still there, but it had transformed into something else. Something purposeful. They thought they were writing the end of my story, but really they'd just given me the perfect beginning. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Kinley. Whatever you're planning, I'm in. I smiled. The stage was set, the players were in position, and soon, very soon, the real show would begin. You look too calm, Kinley said, studying my face over coffee. It's honestly a little scary. We were sitting in our favorite cafe, 3 days after the birthday disaster. Esther had just arrived, sliding into the booth with a determined expression. I brought reinforcements, she announced, pulling out her laptop. As the tech genius of this group, I thought you might need my particular set of skills. You've been watching too many action movies. Kinley laughed, but I leaned forward with interest. Actually, I said, I could use your help. Bruno found something interesting in Justin's company's network, but we need someone who can make sense of it. Esther's eyes lit up. Show me. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots Bruno had sent. Her expression turned serious as she scrolled through them. These transactions, they're trying to look random, but there's a pattern, she muttered. Give me a day with this. The cafe door chimed and I froze as Eloise walked in. She spotted us immediately, her perfect smile faltering for just a second before she headed our way. Bella, what a surprise, she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. We've been trying to reach you. I've been busy, I replied, taking a deliberate sip of my coffee. Too busy to respond to Mom? She's worried sick. Kinley's hand tightened around her cup. Maybe she should be worried about having raised a backstabbing. Kinley? I cut her off softly. It's fine. Eloise shifted uncomfortably. Look, Justin's lawyer has some papers for you to sign. About the house. We're trying to make this easy for everyone. Easy? Esther scoffed, not looking up from her laptop. Like it was easy to sleep with your sister's husband? You don't understand, Eloise snapped. Justin and we're in love. Sometimes these things just happen. I stood up slowly, gathering my things. You're right, Eloise. Things do just happen. And they keep happening, don't they? Something in my tone made her step back. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I smiled. Tell Justin I'll review the papers with my lawyer. Oh, and say hi to Thomas for me. The color drained from her face. How did you... Like you said, sis, sometimes things just happen. I walked out, Kinley and Esther right behind me. Once outside, Kinley burst into laughter. Did you see her face? She looked like she was going to pass out. What was that about Thomas? Esther asked, still clutching her laptop. Insurance policy, I explained. She's been meeting with Justin's CFO behind his back. Bruno got photos. My phone rang. It was my mother. This time I answered. Bella, finally. We need to talk about this situation. Mom, I'm handling it. But your sister? Is a grown woman who made her choices? I interrupted. Trust me, Mom. Everything's going to work out exactly as it should. After hanging up, I turned to my friends. I need your help with something else. Justin and Eloise are hosting a family dinner next weekend. They're planning to announce their relationship officially. The nerve, Kinley growled. I want to be there, I said. And I want you both there, too. Esther looked up from her laptop. Bella, these numbers I'm seeing, this is serious criminal activity. Are you sure you want to wait? The dinner is perfect timing, I assured her. Bruno's almost finished gathering evidence. Oliver has everything ready legally, and now... And now what? Kinley asked. My phone buzzed with a text from Bruno. Found the smoking gun. Meeting in 20? Now we have everything we need. I smiled. Want to come meet my PI? 20 minutes later, we sat in Bruno's cramped office as he laid out photographs and documents. Your sister's been busy, he said, pointing to a series of photos showing Eloise meeting with Thomas in various locations. She's been feeding him information about Justin's schemes, probably trying to secure her own position when everything falls apart. She always did like to hedge her bets, I muttered. There's more, Bruno continued. Justin's planning to move a large sum of money next week, right after the family dinner. Esther looked up from her laptop. The transactions I'm seeing, they're setting up for something big. They're planning to leave the country, Bruno confirmed. Tickets booked under false names, but the pattern's clear. I sat back, letting it all sink in. So they announce their love to the family, transfer the money, and disappear, leaving me with nothing. Not if we move first, Kinley said firmly. The dinner? I nodded. That's when we end this. All of it. As my friends and Bruno discussed details, I felt a strange sense of calm. In just a few days, everything would change. Justice was coming, served on a platter at a family dinner none of them would ever forget. Ms. Ross? A nervous voice called out as I was leaving Oliver's office. I turned to see Sarah, Justin's former assistant, clutching a manila envelope to her chest. I've been trying to work up the courage to give you this, she said, looking over her shoulder as if expecting Justin to materialize. Mr. Ross. He made me help him hide things. Documents. Transactions. I guided her to a nearby coffee shop, ordering 2 lattes. Her hands shook as she passed me the envelope. He threatened my job if I ever told anyone, Sarah continued. But after what he did to you, and now he's trying to pin everything on Thomas. What do you mean? I leaned forward. I overheard him and your sister yesterday. They're setting Thomas up to take the fall for everything. She pulled out her phone, playing a recording. Justin's voice filled our quiet corner of the cafe. Once the transfer is complete, all trails lead to Thomas. He's the perfect scapegoat and will be long gone. Eloise's laugh followed. Poor Thomas. He actually thinks I care about him. I copied the recording to my phone. Sarah, would you be willing to make a statement? She nodded. I already did. Yesterday to the SEC. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't say something. My phone buzzed. Bruno was calling. You need to see this, he said when I answered. Thomas just reached out. He wants to meet. An hour later, I sat across from Thomas in a quiet diner on the outskirts of town. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. They played us both, he said, pushing a USB drive across the table. Everything's here. All the transactions, the shell companies, the fake accounts. Justin's been setting me up from the beginning, and your sister. He laughed bitterly. Well, she's quite the actress. Why are you giving me this? Because in 3 days at that family dinner, they're going to destroy me. Justin's already planted evidence on my computer. Eloise has been spreading rumors about my suspicious behavior at work. I studied him carefully. What do you want in return? Protection, and a chance to tell the truth before they pin everything on me. My phone lit up with a text from Esther. Got into Justin's email. You won't believe what I found. The dinner, Thomas said urgently. They're planning something big. I know, I replied, showing him Sarah's recording. His face hardened as he listened. Those bastards, he muttered. I loved her, you know. Actually thought Eloise loved me too. Join the club, I said dryly. How would you like to help me destroy them both? Back at Oliver's office, we laid out everything we had. Sarah's documents, Thomas's USB drive, Bruno's surveillance, and Esther's email findings created a devastating picture. They're planning to transfer the money during the dinner, Oliver explained, pointing to transaction schedules. Probably thinking everyone being there will provide an alibi. But we'll be ready, I said. Thomas, you're still invited to the dinner? He nodded. Eloise insisted. Wants to keep up appearances until the last minute. My phone rang. It was my mother again. Bella, please tell me you're coming to the dinner. We need to handle this as a family. Don't worry, Mom. I wouldn't miss it for the world. After hanging up, I turned to Oliver. Is everything in place with the SEC? They're ready to move on our signal. The evidence is overwhelming, Bella. They're looking at serious prison time. Thomas stood up, straightening his tie. I should get back to the office. Act normal. Thomas? I called as he reached the door. Thank you. He gave me a sad smile. We were both fooled by people we loved. Least I can do is help make it right. After he left, Bruno showed me the latest surveillance photos. Justin and Eloise at a bank, at a travel agency, looking very much in love. They really think they're going to get away with everything, I mused. That's what makes this perfect, Oliver said. They're so confident they won't see it coming. My phone buzzed with a text from Eloise. Dinner's at 7 on Saturday. Wear something nice. We have big news to share. I showed the message to Oliver, who chuckled. Oh, it'll be big news, all right. Just not the kind they're planning. Looking at the evidence spread across Oliver's desk, I felt a strange mix of sadness and anticipation. In 3 days, I would sit at a table with the two people who betrayed me, watch them smile and celebrate their love, and then I would tear their world apart. Ready for the final act? Oliver asked. I gathered the documents, adding them to my growing file. They wanted a show? I'll give them one they'll never forget. The day before the family dinner, I ran into Eloise at our mother's house. She was helping Mom prepare food, acting like everything was perfectly normal. Bella, Mom exclaimed, flour dusting her apron. I'm so glad you're here. Help us with these appetizers? Actually, Eloise said, wiping her hands on a towel. Could we talk privately for a minute, sis? I followed her into the garden, where Mom's roses were in full bloom. The same garden where we'd played as kids, shared secrets, made promises we thought we'd never break. Justin and I feel terrible about how everything happened, she started, perching on the garden bench. Do you? I kept my voice neutral, thinking of the recording from Sarah. We never meant to hurt you. Sometimes the heart wants what it wants. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Like your heart wanted Thomas? She froze, her perfect composure cracking for just a second. I don't know what you're talking about. No? I pulled out my phone, showing her a photo Bruno had taken of her and Thomas outside a hotel. Interesting lunch meeting spot. You've been spying on me? Her voice rose slightly. Let's call it protecting my interests. I smiled. Just like you've been protecting yours. What's that supposed to mean? You'll find out tomorrow at dinner. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. Listen to me very carefully, she hissed, all pretense of sisterly concern gone. Whatever you think you know, whatever you're planning, don't. You'll only embarrass yourself. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. You know what's funny, Eloise? You actually think you're the clever one here. I got everything I wanted, didn't I? She smirked. The man, the house, the life you couldn't keep. Mom's watching. I nodded toward the kitchen window. You might want to fix your face. Your mask is slipping. I walked back inside, leaving her in the garden. Mom was humming as she worked on a pastry. Everything okay? She asked, concern lining her face. It will be, Mom. After tomorrow, everything will be exactly as it should be. My phone buzzed. A message from Bruno. SEC team is ready. Thomas just confirmed his attendance. Then another from Oliver. Documents filed. Everything's in place. And finally from Justin. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. We should talk before dinner. Bella? Mom's voice pulled me back. You seem different lately. Are you sure you're handling all this okay? I helped her with the pastry, just like I used to when I was little. Mom, do you remember what you always told us about karma? That she's patient but never forgets? Mom smiled. You used to love that saying. I still do. I checked my phone again. Kinley and Esther confirming they'd be there tomorrow too. More than ever, actually. Later that evening, I met with Oliver one last time to review everything. The SEC agents will arrive at 7:30. he confirmed. Right after the main course, according to your mother's schedule. Perfect timing, I said. Justin always gets overconfident after a good meal. Are you ready for this? Oliver asked. Once we start, there's no going back. My phone lit up with a text from Eloise. Wear that blue dress tomorrow. It makes you look less pale. See this? I showed Oliver the message. She's still trying to play mind games. Little jabs, subtle digs. She won't be so smug tomorrow. No, I agreed. She won't. I spent that night in my new apartment, laying out my outfit for dinner. Not the blue dress Eloise suggested, but a red one. The color of power, of warning, of blood in the water. My phone buzzed one last time. Thomas. Just got a call from Justin. They're planning to announce their engagement tomorrow. I replied, perfect. Let them have their moment. It'll make what comes after even sweeter. Setting my alarm, I thought about how different everything would be this time tomorrow. Justin and Eloise, probably in handcuffs. My mother finally seeing the truth about her youngest daughter. The carefully constructed lies, all coming crashing down over a family dinner. One more day, I whispered to myself, touching the file of documents on my nightstand. Everything that would destroy them was right here. Every transaction, every lie, every secret meeting. Tomorrow, they thought they were hosting a dinner to celebrate their love. Instead, they were hosting their own downfall, and I had a front row seat to the show. My phone lit up one final time. A message from Mom. Whatever happens tomorrow, I love you both. I didn't reply. Tomorrow, she'd understand why only one of her daughters deserved that love. I arrived at my former home exactly at 6:45 p.m., fashionably early enough to watch everyone else arrive. Justin opened the door, his confident smile faltering slightly at my red dress. Bella, he said, leaning in for what would have been our usual cheek kiss. I stepped past him. Let's not pretend, Justin. I handed my coat to the housekeeper, Maria, who gave me a sympathetic smile. The house smelled of roasting meat and expensive wine. Eloise had already redecorated, I noticed. The photos of Justin and me were gone, replaced by abstract art. Can we talk privately? Justin gestured toward his office. With pleasure. Inside his office, he closed the door and leaned against his desk. I know you're hurt. Actually, I interrupted, I wanted to talk about the Harrison account. His face changed instantly. What about it? Oh, and the offshore transfers from last March. And those interesting consulting fees to my sister that started 8 months ago. The color drained from his face. How did you... The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Thomas arriving, followed closely by my mother. We should join the others. I smiled. Wouldn't want to miss the big announcement. In the living room, Eloise was holding court, wearing a designer dress I recognized from Bruno's surveillance photos, bought with embezzled money. Bella! Mom rushed to hug me. You look stunning, honey. Thanks, Mom. Red felt appropriate tonight. Kinley and Esther arrived next, followed by other family members and close friends. I checked my phone. 7:15 p.m., right on schedule. Before we moved to the dining room, Justin announced, clinking his glass. Eloise and I have something to share. I caught Thomas's eye across the room. He gave me an almost imperceptible nod. As you all know, Justin continued, taking Eloise's hand, sometimes life surprises you with unexpected love. That's one way to put it, Kinley muttered under her breath. Eloise and I are engaged. The room erupted in awkward congratulations. My mother looked like she might faint. Actually, I spoke up, my voice cutting through the chaos. I have an announcement too. Eloise's grip on Justin's hand tightened visibly. Bella, please don't make a scene. No scene, I assured her, checking my phone again, 7:28 p.m. Just sharing some interesting business news. This isn't the time, Justin warned. It's exactly the time. I turned to address the room. Did you know that Justin's company has been under investigation for fraud? The room fell silent. Bella? Justin stepped forward. You don't know what you're talking about. don't I? I pulled out my phone, reading from it. March 15th, 2 million transferred to an offshore account. April 3rd, consulting fees to a shell company registered to Eloise. May 20th. Stop it, Eloise snapped. Why? Isn't this what family dinners are for? Sharing news? I looked at Thomas. Would you like to share your news? Thomas cleared his throat. The SEC has been building a case for months. Justin and Eloise have been embezzling millions. The doorbell rang. That'll be the SEC agents now, I announced. Right on time. Justin lunged for his office, but Oliver stepped out of the shadows, blocking his path. I wouldn't do that. All your accounts are already frozen. You bitch, Eloise snarled, advancing toward me. You planned this whole thing. Actually, you planned it, I corrected her. I just waited for the right moment. By the way, Thomas sends his love. Or was that just another person you were using? The front door opened and 2 SEC agents entered, followed by Bruno. Justin Ross? Eloise Erickson? One agent stepped forward. We have some questions about your financial activities. Mom. Eloise turned to our mother. You can't let this happen. But Mom was staring at the documents I'd just handed her. Proof of everything, including Eloise's manipulation of Thomas and their plans to flee the country. All this time, Mom whispered, you were just using people? Mrs. Ross? The agent addressed Justin. You have the right to remain silent. It's Ms. Ross, actually, I corrected. Soon to be ex-Mrs. Ross. As the agents led Justin and Eloise away, the other guests stood in shocked silence. Thomas approached me, looking both relieved and sad. Thank you, he said quietly, for helping me clear my name. Thank you for helping me serve justice, I replied. My mother was crying softly in a corner. I went to her, taking her hand. I'm so sorry, Mom. She squeezed my hand. Don't be. You did what you had to do. Through the window, I watched the SEC vehicles drive away with my husband and sister. The red dress suddenly felt perfect. The color of victory, of endings, and of new beginnings. The aftermath of the dinner unfolded like a hurricane in slow motion. I sat in the FBI's Financial Crimes Division the next morning, surrounded by agents reviewing documents I'd collected over the past 2 years. Ms. Ross, Agent Martinez said, sliding another document across the table. Your attention to detail is remarkable. These transaction records alone are enough to put them away for years. Hell hath no fury, Kinley commented from beside me. She'd insisted on coming as moral support. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since last night. News travels fast in small circles, and Justin's arrest was already making waves in the business community. Your sister's asking to speak with you, an agent announced, entering the room. No, I said firmly. Everything she needs to say can go through our lawyers. The door opened again and Thomas walked in, looking exhausted but relieved. They're processing Justin now. He's trying to claim I was the mastermind. Good luck with that, I smiled, patting the stack of evidence. We have his digital fingerprints on everything. My phone rang, Mom again. This time I answered. The house is so quiet, she said, her voice small. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed. We all missed them, Mom. No, you didn't, she corrected. You saw everything. You just waited for the right moment. Agent Martinez cleared her throat. Ms. Ross, we need to discuss the offshore accounts. The next few hours were a blur of statements, signatures, and revelations. The scope of Justin and Eloise's scheme was even bigger than we'd thought. They'd been planning this for years, manipulating everyone around them. They were going to leave the country last night, Bruno explained, showing us their travel arrangements. Private jet, fake passports, everything. Instead, they're enjoying lovely matching jumpsuits, Kinley quipped. My phone buzzed with a text from Oliver. Justin's lawyer is requesting a deal. He's willing to testify against Eloise. Of course he is, I muttered, throwing her under the bus to save himself. Thomas looked up from his own phone. Eloise is doing the same thing. Her lawyer just contacted the prosecution. Let them destroy each other, I said. They deserve each other. Around noon, Sarah arrived to give her statement. She looked nervous but determined. Mr. Ross threatened my family, she told the agents. Said he'd make sure I'd never work in this city again if I talked. You did the right thing, I assured her. Ms. Ross? Agent Martinez called. There's something else you should see. She pulled up security footage from Justin's office. The timestamp showed last week, Justin and Eloise counting stacks of cash, laughing about their plans. Look at that. Eloise's voice came through clearly. Poor Bella never saw any of this coming. She actually thought you loved her. Justin's laugh made my stomach turn. She was convenient. Her family connections helped build my reputation. But you understand ambition. I watched them kiss, plotting their escape with money they'd stolen, lives they'd ruined, scattered around them like confetti. Turn it off, I said quietly. Kinley squeezed my hand. You okay? Better than okay. I straightened my spine. They thought I was weak. Convenient. Now they can think about that from their prison cells. My phone lit up with a news alert. Tech CEO and sister-in-law arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. It's going viral, Thomas said, showing me his phone. The company's stock is tanking. What happens now? I asked Agent Martinez. They're looking at 15 to 20 years, minimum. The evidence is overwhelming. She paused. You should be proud. Most people never catch schemes like this. Most people don't have their husband leave them for their sister, I replied dryly. As we left the FBI building that evening, reporters were already gathering. Oliver met us at the exit. Ready to face the cameras? He asked. No statements, I decided. Let them dig their own graves with whatever they tell the press. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Eloise. I'm sorry, please help me. You're my sister. I showed it to Kinley, who snorted. Now she remembers you're her sister? Should I respond? I asked. No need, Thomas said. The evidence speaks louder than any words could. Walking to my car, I felt lighter than I had in months. Behind me, the FBI building held the proof of their betrayal. Ahead of me stretched a future they'd tried to steal. Dinner at my place? Kinley offered. Esther's bringing wine, and we can watch the news coverage. I smiled, thinking of Justin and Eloise in their separate cells, finally facing the consequences of their actions. Actually, I said, I think I'll visit Mom. She shouldn't be alone tonight. Because that's the difference between them and me. I still know what family really means. The verdict came down like a thunderclap in the packed courtroom. I sat between my mother and Kinley as the judge addressed Justin and Eloise. The evidence presented leaves no room for doubt, Judge Patterson declared. The systematic nature of your fraud, the manipulation of those who trusted you, and your complete lack of remorse are deeply troubling. Justin stood rigid in his prison jumpsuit, while Eloise quietly sobbed beside her lawyer. Justin Ross, this court sentences you to 18 years in federal prison. Eloise Erickson, you're sentenced to 15 years. Mom squeezed my hand as Eloise turned to look at us, mascara streaking down her face. Mom, please. But Mom didn't move. Instead, she stood up straight and spoke clearly. You chose this path, Eloise. Now you'll walk it alone. As they were led away, Justin finally broke his stoic facade. Bella, we can make a deal. I'll tell you where the rest of the money is. There's more money? Agent Martinez whispered, already taking notes. I smiled. There always is with Justin. His greed never had a bottom. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Oliver stepped forward as my official spokesperson. Justice was served today, he announced. Ms. Ross's courage in exposing this fraud protected countless others from becoming victims. Thomas approached me as the media circus continued. The company's board asked me to take over as CEO. We're implementing all the safeguards you suggested. Good, I nodded. Those employees deserve better than what Justin gave them. My phone buzzed. A message from Sarah. They're offering me my old job back with a promotion. Should I take it? You should ask for more, I texted back. They owe you for your honesty. Kinley linked her arm through mine as we walked down the courthouse steps. So, what now? Please tell me we can finally have that spa day we've been postponing. Actually, I pulled out an envelope. I have something else in mind. Inside was a business proposal. My own consulting firm specializing in fraud detection and prevention. Oliver had helped me draft the paperwork. I learned a lot these past 2 years, I explained. Why not use it to help others? Count me in, Thomas said, reading over my shoulder. The business world needs more watchdogs. Mom wiped away tears as she read the company name. Second Chances Consulting. Because everyone deserves one, I said. Unless they're Justin and Eloise. That earned a laugh from everyone, breaking the heavy atmosphere of the day. Bruno appeared, holding his own envelope. Final surveillance report. They found 3 more offshore accounts. Looks like Justin was trying to bargain with real information. Too little, too late, Agent Martinez commented, joining our group. But we'll take it. My phone lit up with a call from the prison. Eloise again. This time I answered and put it on speaker. I hate you, she spat. You ruined everything. No, Eloise, you and Justin did that all by yourselves. I just made sure everyone saw who you really are. I hung up as she started cursing. That felt good, Mom admitted, surprising us all. Back at Mom's house, surrounded by friends and family who'd stood by me, I finally felt the weight lift completely. Kinley and Esther were already planning the company website, while Thomas and Oliver discussed potential clients. Your father would be proud, Mom said quietly, handing me a coffee. He always said you were the strong one. I learned from the best. I smiled, watching her rejoin the others. My phone buzzed one last time, an email from Justin's lawyer. Client wishes to make full confession in exchange for consideration. Let him confess, I told Oliver. But no deals. Some things can't be bargained away. Looking around the room at my real family, not the ones who betrayed me, but the ones who stood by me, I realized something important. Justin was wrong at that birthday party. I didn't just belong here. I had earned my place. To new beginnings, Kinley raised her glass. And to karma, I added, thinking of Justin and Eloise in their separate cells, finally facing the truth about themselves. The evening sun streamed through Mom's windows, catching the edge of my red dress, the same one from that dinner party. But now it felt different. Not a dress of revenge, but of victory, of justice, of moving forward. Ready to change the world? Thomas asked, holding up the business proposal. I looked at my mother's proud smile, my friends' unwavering support, and the future stretching out before me. Bright, clear, and entirely my own. More than ready, I said. Let's get started.